anytime anyone is complaining to me about their competitor and how our competitors got more reviews, our competitor came into town and they took some of our business away, I'm like, I 100% know they're going to be a problem client. If you're interested in writing a book, getting on a call and really dialoguing that with us is the first step. And, we'll just be honest with you, if we think it's going to work or not. Some people I think are like, everybody, I got a story to tell. Everyone wants to hear it. And I'm like, probably not. Like, is as funny as it sounds, like no one's really that special and no one's really interested in your memoir unless you're famous. It has to be something that they're going to gain value from and they're going to benefit from, or they're not going to read it. There's a lot of prospecting for colleges in the Pacific Northwest in Alaska. A lot of people don't realize that. So there's a lot of reps that go year after year. And when you're making such a big change in your life, going to something familiar is really like an advantageous thing.
What would you say are some like indicators that someone is someone that you don't want to work with? Like in the discovery call, what are some things that you would hear them say that you would be like, red flag, I don't want to work with you?
The one that just really chaps my ass now is like, well, you're one of 3 agencies I'm talking to right now, so I'll get back to you. And I just know right away the answer is no, because we're not the least expensive. And they will go with the least expensive. Like that person 9 times out of 10 is going to go with the least expensive. And so I just go, hey, thank you for your time. If you need anything, let me know. But there are clients out there that their business is on the brink and they're not entirely forthright with you about how bad it is. And then they sign an agreement with you and then blame you for their business going down. You just can't want something for someone they don't want it for themselves. And if you're not going to invest in your own business to make the changes and you're expecting me to fix it for you, like, I'm out. It's just not. No one's going to be happy in that situation.
Welcome, everyone, to today's episode of the Leverage and Lead podcast. I'm here with Marla Harmon, my co-host, and our special guest, Jake Zufelt. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, Jake.
It's good to see you, Marla.
You too.
So, Jake, we met at the summit. So nice to see you again.
You too.
Can you tell everyone a little bit about what you do, who you serve, and how you're using High Level? Because in our conversation, I think some of the ways that you use High Level is really unique, and I think it would be cool to talk about.
Yeah, it's a little unconventional, which is probably the word to describe me and all of the stuff that we do at Weldwood, I guess, is probably pretty accurate. Yeah, we're a full service agency, but it grew and turned into something we never expected. And a lot of that came down to the industries that we were in. We were in really unique industries. So we were working with escape room companies and axe throwing, and we did a project with Hershey Park and Tomb Raider. And I don't know, we have a thing on right now for Dolce & Gabbana that I have nothing to do with. My team took it over. I asked for free samples and they said no. So that was pretty much the end of my involvement. So we are always working with very unique industries, and we do have, we have some roofers and different things like that. But, we're working on a couple really unique clients right now that are Oregon-based food manufacturing companies, right? So we're not scared to get into the stuff that a lot of people won't even kind of get into. And so I got into High Level early. I remember back when the High Level group had like less than 9,000 users in it. Those were the good old days, Marla.
Sure.
When you could just talk to the staff directly. And but yeah, we're working with a lot of unique clients, and an area that I didn't have a ton of experience in was just like the very raw traditional business consulting, right? I only knew what I knew. And that was gaining attention, and that was the technical side. We're very, very technical agency. We are actually like the emergency marketing agency for other agencies when like websites go down. So we're really nerdy. We're really, really nerdy over here. And that's where I'd really cut my teeth, was in all of that. And then what we were experiencing is businesses who their ads were performing really well, but they would come to us and be like, hey, things aren't going great in the business. We're going to have to pause services. And I go, well, that doesn't make any sense because the ads are doing well. Come to find out, it was lease agreement issues and staffing issues and insurance issues. So, very long story short, we brought in a full-time business consultant who had started and sold, I think, 13 of his 14 businesses. And then he called me and said, like, hey, I've been following you online. I'm bored. Can I come work for you? And I went, yeah, let's have some conversations. So he came on board, and that really started for us kind of a trajectory away from the just, I don't want to say away from it because we're still very much a full service agency, but the traditional model of agency of just the Google Ads, SEO, social media stuff. And it grew. And so now we have a publishing company. We have a 1940s lawyer's office here in Oregon. We renovated to become a podcast studio. That's been a huge endeavor. That's been really fun. And underneath all of it was high level. And so we weren't selling it in the traditional SaaS model that a lot of people did when that really took off. Is it was always something to support and supplement all of the variety at Weldwood to make sure that we could keep it all mostly in one system, but communication, the booking, all that kind of stuff. It really just was the fuel that allowed us to just keep trucking over and over and over into all of the pivots and whatever corporate words you want to throw in there. All the synergies. That's a good corporate word.
Congratulations on that. Congratulations
Thank you,
on
I think.
the business or the office. It's so cute and it's very
cool.
It's very like boutique-y. I really like it. I think it suits you.
I really want to paint monsters on it. I want to just absolutely
inside or outside.
Oh, the outside. I want there to be a spaceship that's like mounted on the top of the building.
I'm sure the neighbors will love you.
I've told the local chamber and the downtown association, I was like, I plan on ruining this beautiful mid-century modern aesthetic. It's Weldwood, Marla. This is what we do.
I know. You need to do your mascot on it. Yeah.
That has been a big topic of conversation, that Weldy, the one-eyed monster guy who's like, he's our Cyclops, is just awesome. So yeah,
he is. He's cute. He's very you. I think that he would be perfect there. For sure. So if you could only spend, like your day doing one or two things, because I'm sure even though you've got a full service agency with amazing, talented people, I know you do. What do you enjoy the most in, like, if you could just strip it all down and you could only do one or two things? I think I know the answer to one of them.
Do you? I'm genuinely curious what you think the answer is.
I think it's talking to people.
I mean, that's not fair because that's so general, Marla.
But I know. But I mean, you are an amazing communicator. So,
well, thank you. That's very generous of you.
Yeah.
No, anyway, for me, it's the educating. It's the educating and coaching. And anytime that I am dealing with, just lack of self-confidence, or it's the imposter syndrome, or the like, what the hell am I doing as a business owner kind of thing. And then I get put in a space where I get to educate and inform and guide. It just it brings all new energy to me. And so we just wrapped up the Oregon Business Conference this last week, which was, again, me just getting myself in trouble again. And realizing there just wasn't anything that hit the need for a pretty large segment of business owners in Oregon. And if you know anything about Oregon, it's pretty much Portland and then everything else. So when people think of Oregon, they just think of Portland. And I adore Portland. I love Portland. I mean, just the food and the art and the culture and the music and all. It's not everything. Don't believe everything you see online. I'll go down there with my kids and go get coffee at these amazing coffee shops, right? But it is very other than the rest of Oregon. And so we just saw this huge gap and this huge need. And so we launched Oregon Business Conference, and we did so in a very centralized location. And being on stage there as a keynote and doing a breakout session on AI, and I got to do an interview with 3 Chamber of Commerce CEOs, and just to get the reaction from people about some of these things that, frankly, the 3 of us are in all day, every day, with AI and automation and all these different tools. And for them to just get these aha moments and seeing how to use it, like, that's what fuels me. Is I have to get away from the marketers. I have to get away from the space we're in to go hang out with normal people, not all of us weirdos that are, trying to figure out the next way to implement some workflow thing or whatever. We're weird. Let's just admit it. Can we all admit it? Like, what we find joy in is very technical. But just hanging out with business owners and getting, to show them behind the scenes of what we do is like, it just brings new energy to me every time I get to do that.
Nice.
That's like what coaches do, because a lot of the techie people, I can't say we, but a lot of techie people, they do not enjoy talking to other people. But I totally agree with you. When someone, this is why I called my business vision, because when someone sees the vision, they see what you can build for them, or they see the weekends off and the evenings with their families, and they see what is possible. That is so exciting to be able to help someone to actually see that. That's really cool.
Are you a coach or consultant trying to build your business with high level, but feeling overwhelmed and overworked? Are you putting in long hours, but still struggling to land your first client? You're not alone. Many entrepreneurs believe they just need to work harder. But what if your problem isn't your work ethic, but your lack of a system? I've spent the last 6 years perfecting a system called the Vision Blueprint. It's a structured method to build a successful business with high level without the burnout. Stop the insanity of endless trial and error. Join my free community today and get access to all my tutorials plus live coaching with me 4 days a week. Let me personally guide you as you implement this system and build the life that you want, not just the business. Now, back to the conversation.
Can you talk a little bit about everybody likes to discuss all the time choosing a niche, and you have all kinds of different clients. So what advice would you have to someone who's like, what do I do? Do I choose a niche? Do I just, throw things at the wall and see what sticks? Should I help everyone? Yeah. How did you make that decision?
Don't help everyone. That's a terrible idea. I've tried that. Also, not everyone's willing to be helped. And I think that's one of my biggest kind of soapboxes, right? I vented to my staff this morning. I came out of Oregon Business Conference excited and just like, just kind of on a soapbox of like, you just can't want things for people they don't want for themselves. And working in a lot of different industries, we found the ones that, we really can help, but we also found people in those industries that we knew for a fact we could rescue their business, we could grow their business, and they just were unhelpable. And so that is a big part. And that's really the litmus test for me is, can I help this person? So I used to do real estate marketing almost exclusively. And then I realized I don't like realtors. And they're almost as bad as marketers, almost. But I had a call today. It was amazing with a real estate agent. They were talking about having them do a podcast and turning it into authoritative content and stuff like that. So question one is always, what is your problem and can I help you? And I wrote an email this morning to someone in an industry I'm very familiar with and said, like, thanks for your time. I'm withdrawing our proposal. I don't think this is a good fit. So it's not always as clean and tidy as all the agency coaches will tell you. Now, we were probably 70% or more at one point, I think, within the immersive experience space, or is what we refer to as active throughput entertainment, which is a little bit different. So a lot of people, it's just easy to be like, oh, the guy works with escape rooms. But the challenge with such a hyper specific niche as that one is the ebb and flow of that industry will affect your business really heavily. And so when you're in real estate and the real estate market is starting to struggle and realtors are starting to struggle, then your agency struggles, right? So there are the safe ones, if you will, that are AI proof, like until a robot can replumb a house, I think plumbers are probably safe. But we're all familiar with how competitive those niches are, right? They're so competitive. And so the competitive advantage doesn't always have to be something that's so drastic. It doesn't have to be like, oh, we're offering this one product no one else is. We have AI agents, right? Or whatever it is. It can be more subtle than that, whether it's just it's a certain vibe. And people are familiar with our like 1950s monster comics. Like, I get calls from industries that should have no business working with someone that has like aliens attacking space people, and they'll call us and be like, I want to work with you. And I go, why? And they go, because I looked at 10 marketing websites and yours was the most fun. And they're like, we assume you guys are fun. I'm like, that's a pretty low bar, but it was at least something to create conversation, right? And so for us, it's always like work in what you know, and then always be testing. And if you're just a solopreneur or just a one-person agency, that can be really hard. So I've got a couple people on my staff that are always kind of pushing the boundaries in other industries to see if there's something there. And if we think there is, we'll go find a conference that corresponds to that industry and we'll go take a run at it. Right. So for us, it was like we knew the booking based industry so well. Like, I have the cell phone numbers of the VPs at the booking softwares that everybody used for immersive experience. Well, guess what? They actually correspond with travel, like travel experiences and one-day travel very, very closely. And so we ended up going to that, and I'm speaking at those events and different things like that. So for us, it was less about like these drastic jumps of one niche to another and more about like what's adjacent. So, you hear these people that are like, they're really into roofing, and next thing you know, they're running running ads for personal lighting installers because roofers got really into permanent lighting. So that's really my big thing is like, I just don't hang my hat on one niche. I understand the philosophy behind it, but like, you always have to be willing to make a change to something adjacent, or you can really get screwed by an industry shift.
I love what you just said. That was like a total golden nugget. So it's not so much about choosing a niche as in like the industry that you want to serve, but more choose a solution and then find people who need that solution. Like you said, booking. You don't
And
have
booking based businesses are funny because I think people are like, well, that's simple. Like, you just run it through GHL, whatever. GHL can't handle like timed ticketing platforms for a haunted house. Like, it's not designed for it. Like, you could band-aid something together. It's not going to do the same thing that some of these other ones do. And so again, it's taking GHL as the base and then using it in a way that can supplement what they're already doing. Most of my clients have no idea what GHL is, which is kind of funny because so many people, it's like it's the only thing, right? Like, their entire company is built on SaaS. And we just didn't. We could have. I think we could have made a lot of money very quickly. I just don't know that it was the sustainability that we were wanting in the industries we were in. So maybe hindsight's 2020 on that one, but it, again, it served us well in the way we did it. But I don't know, we just do everything different. We're just weird.
Well, tell us more. Oh, go ahead, Bridget.
I just was going to say, it's okay. I do everything weird too. But I think if you're going to be like, if you're going to be someone who really chases like your passions and like where you fit in the world and where your skill set really fits and excels above others in that same, skill set or industry, I think that you have to be weird. You have to kind of just blaze your own path and do that instead of trying to watch what everybody else is doing and see where you fit and try out everybody's strategy before you find your own.
Sure.
That's what I was going to say, Marla. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, so you mentioned that you've brought on the publishing and everything. Give us because you've published, or well, you did not publish your own book. I think that was before your publishing company, but you do have an amazing book. But now you have a publishing company, which is incredible. So tell us just super quickly about that.
Yeah. When I went through the process, I'm just allergic to complexity. I start sneezing when things are like overcomplicated. There's got to be an easier way, a faster way. And being in the publishing space now, it's so fascinating how not marketing tuned authors are. It's really, I mean, some of the Facebook groups or the networks or whatever, like there's just no marketing acumen. They're so siloed into, their little sphere. And so a lot of what we do, for lack of a better word, we call it career advancement publishing, which just sounds very sterile. To be honest, I wish there was a better way to put it, but it's very accurate. And so the book is never the end goal. And that's where I think a lot of authors get lost, is they're like, oh my gosh, I've finally reached this mountaintop of publishing a book. There's something, I don't remember what the stat is, but it is mind boggling. The tens of thousands of books that are uploaded to Kindle Direct Publishing and Google Books every single week. Like, it is just insane. And so it was a very strategic authority piece for me. And I didn't half-ass it. I mean, I wrote the thing. I did not use AI to write the book. I flew to Germany and hung out with one of my buddies and wrote half of it there. And then I wrote the rest of it back home, and really labored over this. And it has returned incredible dividends for me in speaking engagements and things like that. And that's something that a lot of authors that come to us are interested in. They're going, I need to stand out in my industry, whether that's real estate or we publish books for marketers. We have one book that we did for someone that used to own a travel company. And that's been fantastic for her in growing her network. One of the more interesting ones we did recently is actually a children's book, and it's for a garden center on the East Coast. And the reason that we did it is they had a really big like Halloween harvest experience, and they wanted to drive people to that event, and they had characters built into it. And he said, I got this kind of wild idea. I don't know who would do this. And I was like, of course we would. It's crazy enough that Weldwood would absolutely take it on. And so it's called the Tale of Gord Villa, and it's all about this character. And it was always designed to support the reading efforts in the local elementary school. And then if you got the book, you could come and get a free ticket to go to the garden center. So it was mutually beneficial. And that was not something we intended to do when we set out with the publishing company, was do children's books. But again, it paralleled what we were trying to accomplish, which is how do you set yourself apart in the market, and how do you further your own, professional endeavors and opportunities. And so we're seeing that with multiple authors we have who are getting into coaching programs that they want to lead, and they needed something substantial to offer people beyond just a verbal, like, hey, I have a curriculum, right? They're like, no, here's the backbone of the coaching program. And so we're watching it happen. We're watching people get on podcasts and speaking engagements, and you're not going to get rich selling books, just plain and simple. But with all of the tools now, you can create one piece of high quality content and take that omni-channel so quickly that you're double dipping and quadruple dipping and, turning that book into a podcast and turning it into an online course and turning it into, keynote sessions. And so I believe in it, more now, or, almost a year and a half later than I did when I started.
And it's funny that you said that, because from my experience and talking to authors, that is truly where they struggle. Is it's not on, I want to write a book. It's how do you get that book into the hands of other people, and whether you're the perfect person to help build the courses and to amplify their voice. So and with you having a podcast studio, you can bring them in, and I mean that's genius.
That was the idea. Is yeah, we renamed the company Weldwood Universe, frankly, because I'm a child and I thought it was funny. But we renamed it Weldwood Universe because I was sitting down with a business owner, very successful business owner up in Portland, who actually is one of the original kind of proprietors of Aviation Gin, which Ryan Reynolds ended up buying later on and stuff. And I was chatting with him, and he goes, "Man, you kind of have your own little universe down there, north of Eugene." And he's like, "All these are just little planets you got, publishing and consulting." And I was like, "Oh my gosh," I had not been able to put it into words until he said it. And so we took that and just ran with it. And the idea is that they were always serving the client whatever it is they needed. So we've, full-time video editors and podcast editors and graphic designers and business consulting, like I said, and author success managers to take people's ideas. And the biggest hurdle in all of it is it's their own just self-conscious. Like they don't feel like they deserve to be someone who's authoritative. And it's so sad to me because so many people are now exchanging repurposed ideas with AI. And so if someone has a true experiential knowledge, like that's becoming a commodity, which is so weird. But if you're not just regurgitating some other guru or some AI summary, like that actually has value to it. And you don't have to be the biggest and best in your industry to be valuable. And I think that's one of the most consistent messages we keep trying to communicate to our authors is like, you have to just grind this out. Like the authority is coming because, you have the experience, you have the knowledge, but we just have to get there. And the other piece of it is defining success. Like, how do you define success of a book? And that's something people get stuck on is they're like, I got to sell 20,000 copies. I'm like, do you? Like, if that's the case, like we could do it, but like you're going to have to work extra hard to get there. It has to be something that is very tangible. And I think my initial wave, I sold 300 books or something like that. And it made a substantial return on investment for Weldwood marketing. And I don't even know that I've probably sold more than 1,000 in the entire time that I've had the book live. And it has returned itself tenfold from the investment I put into it. So it's defining success in a very practical way.
So you're saying that you can't just use AI to write a book and then upload it to Amazon and then become a famous author? It's not possible.
If you can be anything you want to be when you grow up, Bridget, that's what we were all told as kids. Like, if I worked hard enough, I could be an NBA player, right? Like, the gimmicks, and I really believe a day is coming where there will be a stamp on books that says like it's not you. Mm-hmm. It's like you're no GMO stamp. Like I really believe that day is coming where it's going to be delineated between those two. And it's been in the back of Kindle direct publishing for years. Like, was AI used in it's super general, like in the making of this book at all, in the cover design, in anything. Like, it's just a checkbox. So I just think that's kind of odd. And I tell a lot of our authors, because we have book writing guides and book planning, different things like that we use with them. And I'm like, your stories are what's going to set this apart, because AI doesn't know your stories unless you fed it to them. But that's where I'm seeing the biggest, impact from the readers of these books. Are like, oh my gosh, I remember the story where you lost your keys, when your wife was in labor. I'm like, yeah, that did happen. That's the big takeaway for them. So.
Is that ever weird for you when people are, because I know sometimes people watch my videos and they're like, oh, Bridget, you cut your hair. And I'm like, did I? Or they'll bring something up to me like, oh, okay, you really.
The one I get that's really funny is like when I travel or speak somewhere and someone knows me, the one they get is like, yeah, you're what I expected. That's what I always get. And it's so funny. I'm like, I'm so sorry to disappoint you. Like, I'm the same person online that I am in person.
You totally are.
You are.
And so it's really funny. Like, I feel like I know you, and they're like, this is what I was expecting. I was like, I apologize. Yeah, but no, it is pretty comical. I'm not like famous by any means. It's just funny when you're in the right circle and the right group of people, and someone's like, oh yeah, I know who you are.
So tell me, like, I want to know, your wit and humor is unique, very unique. Where did that come from? Where did it come from? Like,
I have
did you have that
no
as a
idea.
child? Like,
I
I can just
was,
almost see you in
um,
school, you know, being like witty, that
uh,
the kid
I
that
mean,
was, the teacher was
it's
like,
funny.
"Hey,
I
stop it."
almost like, I don't like my kids are not public on social media at all. And yet if the two of you met him, you'd be like, "Oh, this checks out." Like my 10-year-old son, he and I just have like an ongoing debate on who's funnier. Like, and it's like we will just roast each other.
So
And
you raised
I don't
someone that you could spar with.
yeah, and he's really good. I mean, he's a tough challenge. I don't know. That's a great question. I mean, my dad was an incredibly just friendly guy. I remember like him talking with people at the grocery store and us leaving. I was like, "Who was that?" He's like, "I don't know." Like he just was that way. And then I've worked a lot of just variety of jobs. Like when I was in high school, I went from the skateboard and snowboard shop in Alaska to a lawyer's office, and then from there to work in coffee. Like I've done just a lot of. I worked in the oil field. I've been in the blue collar, like
Mm.
and that always served me incredibly well for just understanding, I don't know, just communication with anybody. And so in college, I have a degree in English communications, which means I don't know anything, but I can communicate pretty clearly how little I know. And so it was just beat into our head. It was like audience analysis, audience analysis, audience analysis. And so I remember in high school having a very like conscious decision that I was like, I want to be able to have a conversation with anyone about anything. Like I want to, like if I walk into a room and they're talking about jet skis, like I want to be able to have something to offer the conversation and to be able to learn from it. And so I've just kind of approached that and tried to surround myself with a wide variety of people. No one has any idea my political views. I plan on keeping it that way. I have friends that are very, very far on the left side and very, very far on the right side. And I glean a lot of just things from all of them. And so I don't know. That's a really good question, Marla, that I've never been asked before. So my brain is complete chaos like all the time.
Sounds like a typical business
Yeah,
owner.
I guarantee I'm undiagnosed something. There's no question.
Thank goodness for your ops manager, right?
Yeah, there's more than one. Yeah.
Does it feel like snapshots are either too basic to help or too complex to fit your business? Trying to untangle someone else's workflows can feel overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be that way. I'm Marla, and I work with agencies and business owners to design and build custom CRM and AI systems that actually align with how you operate your business. If you're tired of trying to do it all yourself, let's connect. Reach out at marlaharmon.com.
Hey, Jake, could you talk a little bit about like where you grew up? What was your childhood like?
Yeah, absolutely. Grew up in Alaska, which is, a fun conversation starter. I was a terrible Alaskan. I didn't hunt or fish, and I hate being cold. So I turned 18. I was like, I'm out. Yeah, I was really involved. I mean, small town in Alaska, south of Anchorage. And, the community was probably about 10,000 people. The town itself was maybe like 3,000, but it's just Alaska functions in areas, if you will. So really, really kind of, small pond in the most realistic way, because they're like, anytime anybody, went on vacation, like it's a big endeavor, right? There's always Alaskan phrases of like going to the lower 48 or like going outside. That always means like to go to the continental US. And so it was just one of those where I lived in the context I lived in. There just wasn't anything else, right? And so small private school, small community that was just very, very caring towards each other, because it wasn't easy. Like this is, the 80s, 90s, early 2000s in Alaska. You just, if you were stuck in a ditch because you slid off the road, like 3 trucks would pull over and they would pull you out. Like it just was a very, very communal way of living in that way, that you helped because that's what you did. There was never like a question as to should I help or not. It was just, well, who was the first one to be there? And so didn't grow up around family. Most people didn't in Alaska. So, all of your holidays were spent with friends, with family friends. And so that's always been an interesting kind of mindset, I guess, that we've always had, is it's like your family is kind of who you're in proximity with. And so you just kind of take care of each other that way. And I think that rooted for me pretty heavily, even going into business. And if I'm going to be taken advantage of in business, it's going to be for helping people without getting paid. And I've had to, like, it sounds like a funny kind of backdoor brag there, but like it became a problem. Like it became a problem, and I had to like sit down with my staff and be like, I'm done. Like I'm done being taken advantage of, because a lot of people were like, oh yeah, well Jake's a nice guy, he'll help me out, right? And again, it was always, what is their problem and can I solve it? And if I could, it was like, yeah, just send me your logins, I'll fix it, right? And it just got to the point to where when finances get tough, you have to start making those tough decisions and be like, I just can't help everybody. And I think some of that goes back to just the like, it's the environment I grew up in. You just did that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's a really good question, Bridget. Again, that's one I've never been asked in a podcast before. So.
We like to ask those kind of provocative questions here at Leverage and Lead.
I love it.
Right. So you left Alaska, and where did you go? Like what was
I came to Oregon. Yeah, I came to Oregon. When you leave Alaska as a teenager or graduating, it's a big deal. And like more so than any other state that I've talked to.
What made you pick Oregon, and what did you do when you got there?
So the US is a fairly large landing pad from Alaska, and everything's far away. Hawaii is the only other like students I've talked to that like leaving the island is a big deal, right? It's kind of that way. So I ended up in Oregon. There's a lot of prospecting for colleges in the Pacific Northwest in Alaska. A lot of people don't realize that. So there's a lot of reps that go year after year. And when you're making such a big change in your life, going to something familiar is really like an advantageous thing. And so my sister was already in Oregon, ended up going to the same university she did. That was not like the original plan, but it just, it's how it happened. And there was a number of other, students from our area that ended up in the Salem area or Portland area. And so there's actually a fairly large kind of Alaska transplant in Oregon. And some of it's the familiarity of the environment and the weather and the outdoors, and then just the proximity back to Alaska is just so much easier. And so, it kind of made sense. And so I took the plunge and met my wife on the first day of school at 18 and got married 3 years later. And the rest is history. So, yeah. But yeah, it's the Pacific Northwest is just kind of its own vibe. And it's funny when I'm speaking at events and, in Dallas or St. Louis or Washington, D.C., and people are like, I can tell you're from the Pacific Northwest. And I was like, it's the cynical humor, isn't it? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. It rains a lot. Okay. we have to survive with sarcasm. So
have you ever been back to Alaska since you left?
Oh yeah. Yeah. My mom's still there. My sister lived in Portland for years and moved back up there. So it's tough though, because I like to be warm. And so if the vacation budget is ready, it's usually Hawaii, Costa Rica. I'm like, can we not meet back there? Is that cool? So
maybe you need to like host family reunions wherever else, not there.
Yeah. And it's such if you've never been, I tell everyone you have to go at least once. Like it is everything people say it is. Like it's just, the mountains are incredible. And, I grew up near the river, and, the fishing is world class, and it is a really fun place to go visit. But,
so what did you do for fun? as a kid in Alaska?
This is gonna shock you. I played in bands. This is not a fake background. Yeah, I mean, I worked at the skate shop and we played a lot of sports. Basketball was huge in Alaska because you play it year round. So I played baseball, basketball, and I played music, and that was really yeah, we played in punk bands and coffee shops and anywhere that would take us is really what we did. And it was honestly a pretty idyllic childhood. I mean, a very safe environment. And that was really fun. And I think that's where, it depends on the day, but in general, I want to have faith in people and get to experience the best of who they are. And some of that just comes from, the way that we grew up was just, you just hopped around town, people's houses and coffee shops and whatever else. And so trying to bring that into the business environment, there's liability with it because you open yourself up to people who legitimately will take advantage of you. But in general, it's really refreshing for people. And I get that a lot from people that are on sales calls or clients like, wow, that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
And to me, a lot of these sales calls are just, in my head, is just another day at the coffee shop.
It's the giving nature. I have it too. We do our own support, and so I find myself like, oh, if we can just do it faster than explaining it and this, that, and the other thing, just record a loom and do it for them and show them how it was done or whatever. But what I've found is that there are some people that will take that as real and be really appreciative of it. And then there's other times they will take that and it sets an expectation of how
Big
you should
time.
serve them in the future. And it becomes a little more and a little more and a little more. And so I can completely relate to that
Oh,
being taken
100%.
advantage of.
We allow
Yeah, and
ourselves.
when times are good, it's easier to do,
Mhm.
and we've had those times of plenty and those times of want where it's like, oh, yeah, I gotta bill you for that, and then that creates a whole weird situation too. So,
Yeah.
yeah, setting that tone early can be really tough. And again,
Mm.
we're not a siloed agency in that like we just do Google ads for roofers, right? Where like the statement of work is really, really clear. And so, there's been times we've stepped in to help people get out of like OSHA violations. It's not what we signed up for. We just happened to have someone on our team that was really good at it, right? And so that kind of stuff, we're trying to get better at it. I won't pretend like we've arrived with it, but yeah, those statement of work. I mean, we often say contracts make good relationships, and you gotta have them.
It's so true. And I think there's like this balance because a lot of times, especially like new agency owners, they want to take on all the clients, they want to do all the stuff, they want to just be the solution to everything and all this extra. And then they don't realize the non-scalability of that and then the feeling like you're describing of being taken advantage of. But oftentimes the clients don't realize they're taking advantage. It's our fault because we've taught them that they can message us and we'll just send a loom video or we'll just do it for them, and we're not
100%.
going to charge them anything extra. But it's that transition where you have to go from being the one who's helping everyone to saying, hold on a second, I need to make money doing this. I can't just like, this isn't a charity here. But I would love for you, Jake, because I know you brought it up a couple times, and I would love for you to talk about one of those situations where you felt like, okay, this has got to stop, because I think there's so much value in that experience that can help other people.
Yeah, I mean, I've got brutal ones. I got some I probably can't even talk about because they got into, I mean, these are extreme, to be clear. I don't want people to be freaked out by it, but like there was one client that we did everything we could to help them. We did everything we could to help them. And they like even, some of the booking software stuff we were dealing with, like we just went above and beyond and carved out time to even create some media for them that wasn't in the statement of work just so we could get them off the ground. And we did everything we could for it. And it was, in I don't know how many years of doing this full time, I've never once had a chargeback ever. And 2 weeks into finally getting them off the ground, they were like, this isn't working. And they charged back all of the all of the fees. Never had it happen. And they were like, results aren't there. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, we had probably 7 staff that had at some point stepped in on their account. And they weren't even like a high, they were just an average paying client in that sense. And it got to the point to where like I had to deal with the disputes, and we won the disputes, and then there were claims and counterclaims. And it just was one of those I'll look back on and be like, that was an incredibly extreme situation. But anytime I catch wind of that kind of like entitlement and expectation, like we squash it early now. We squash it early because it's just unfortunate. There are clients out there that their business is on the brink and they're not entirely forthright with you about how bad it is. And then they sign an agreement with you and then blame you for their business going down. And there are those people out there, right? I think they're not as, as frequent as I hope, but they do exist. And so anytime you find anyone, I'll just be real with you, we call them leeches now, to where it's like they're just trying to get anything and everything out of you. And so we have like a no leech policy, and we also have what we refer to as a no asshole policy. Like if you're rude to any of my staff, like I will fire you immediately. And I've done it, I think 4 times, where I've just been like, nope. And I don't care what they're paying us. We had one that had 3 companies with us, 3 businesses with us we were doing stuff for. And I just wrote them an email after like their 2nd violation and said, I'm sorry, but like you can't treat my staff that way. They sent back a mile-long response. It was just a single block of text. I never even read it. I just deleted it and moved on. And so, to new agency owners, like it may feel weird because you're like, man, that's money on the table, right? It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. And occasionally someone will slip by you, right? It happens, but you just got to be militant about it early on. So
What do you think
agree.
what would you say are some like indicators that someone is someone that you don't want to work with? Like in the discovery call, what are some things that you would hear them say that you would be like, red flag, I don't want to work with you?
This happened yesterday. It's price bargaining. Like I don't even mess with it anymore. If we offer a discount, it's because it's part of a package or it's warranted or whatever. But like, the one that just really chaps my ass now is like, well, you're one of 3 agencies I'm talking to right now, so I'll get back to you. And I just know right away the answer is no, because we're not the least expensive, and they will go with the least expensive. Like that person 9 times out of 10 is going to go with the least expensive. And so I just go, hey, thank you for your time. If you need anything, let me know. But yeah, when they get into the price negotiation side of it, after all of the experience and value and case studies, and like they've seen our work and they're still trying to go there. One of the things that our business consultant says is I've seen him say it on calls. He said, you can have a steak and you can have chicken nuggets. Both of them are a meal. You will be getting a meal, but there's a big difference in quality. And so typically it comes to with our websites, because we've done some pretty substantial websites for, for symphonies and for hunting and fishing guide associations and, 100-page websites. And if anyone's going to, nickel and dime me on an 8 to 10 page website, like that's fine. Like just call somebody else. I'm just not going to mess with it. So.
And I have found that every time you take on that type of client, those are the highest maintenance. They are going to, they're going to suck the living daylights out.
Without question.
They just suck the soul out of you, your employees.
Without
they're going to, yeah.
And I still sign them sometimes, Marla. Why? What is wrong with me?
Yeah.
And I think it comes back to, again, just like they need help. I can help them. Let's go.
Yeah.
And yet still you see that. The other one that gets the other red flag for me, Bridget, is arrogance. Like when someone tells me about how good they are at business and they tell me how good they are at marketing, I'm like, then why the hell are we on this call?
Mhm.
Like, if you're
Yeah.
so good at marketing, why am I doing? Well, I don't have time.
Or it's
Like,
just,
okay,
it's
well,
really simple. I only need this little simple thing.
yeah,
It's just,
that one's fun.
it won't take any time. It'll be
Yeah.
simple.
And like, arrogance is funny because arrogance is just one side of the ego coin. The other one is victim language. Like, ego is just an inflated sense of self. And so when you get that victim language, anytime anyone is complaining to me about their competitor and how oh, our competitors got more reviews. Oh, our competitor came into town and they took some of our business away. I'm like, I 100% know they're going to be a problem client.
Or when they start complaining about the previous agency that they hired and how they did a horrible job and didn't get them great results.
That's
And
a
that's
funny
like
one for me because sometimes they're just not wrong. Like,
true.
Yeah.
It's
because
true.
that used to be a red flag for me too. And then I just met a lot of shit agencies, and I was like, yeah, they might have been right.
And I
It
love
turns
that
out it was just like,
I
I
love
think
that
it's
he
like
posts
what you
about
said.
them
It's
too.
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, I love that he posts about the, like he'll bring on a new client and he'll go, you're not going to believe this last agency did X, Y, and Z. And it's just like, it blows my mind. Jake will dive
and
in and uncover.
I guarantee there's like probably 5 companies in the US that are probably like, well, Weldwood this, and there's 2 sides to every story. Like, you know what I mean? And we're like, well, they did this for our whatever. And I'm like, dude, you wouldn't listen to me if I told you your house was on fire. Like, so I get that there's 2 sides to every story. And maybe there was a situation when the agency was doing good work and then the client went in and messed up their site. Like, it's hard, but I'm not going to go interview every agency someone left. So it is a big trust thing to it. And a lot of it is just giving them the path to success. And, but we have, I mean, so many times where, our in-house business consultant, Todd, will, do work with someone and he'll just repeatedly ask them to do something, and a year in, they won't do it. And he's like, I can't help you anymore. So I get that. I'm sure I've been that client for my accountant, or whatever. Like, so there has to be some sort of humanity and some humility here to allow people to make mistakes or make the wrong decision. But I just don't have time anymore to deal with that kind of, just lack of action.
Mhm.
I've got kids and a house and a building and businesses. Like, if you're not going to invest, I said this early on, right? Like, you just can't want something for someone they don't want for themselves. And if you're not going to invest in your own business to make the changes and you're expecting me to fix it for you, like, I'm out. It's just not, no one's going to be happy in that situation.
I think that's true. I think it's also about the language they use. Are they like just blaming the other agency and they're or did they have a legitimate issue? I think that's true.
And sometimes, I mean, we've been in the game long enough to know I can look at a website and tell you the agency built it wrong. Like,
Yes.
it's not like, I can look at it and be like, oh, okay, this is based on some crappy theme from 2015 that, someone repurposed and reskinned and whatever. And it's got all kinds of issues. And they like, the client will be like, I just don't feel like I got what I paid for. And I'll look at it and be like, yeah, you didn't. And they're like, okay, so I wasn't just being weird. I'm like, no, they built a crappy site. I'll just say that. But yeah, it's just, man, business in 2026 it's just no joke. And a lot of these like very quick win, whether it's a coaching program or it's SaaS or it's this or whatever, it's like people's looking for a quick buck on it. It's just not going to last. You have to actually do the hard work. The scaling to 7 figures in 90 days, or it doesn't do it for me. This week alone, we've changed accountants. We've changed our insurance for the company. We redid some health insurance policies. Like, that's an actual company. That's an actual business. And, when you talk to people who are like, yeah, well, it doesn't just have to be marketing. It could be anything. Like, yeah, this is what I do. And I'm like, if you disappeared tomorrow, would the company still exist? They're like, no. I was like, great. You have a very expensive hobby. That's fantastic for you. Like, it's not beyond you. And it's not a full scale thing. Like, just don't be taken by the shiny objects of if I just do X, Y, and Z, I'll be a millionaire. Like, this business is really hard, and
Mhm.
running an agency is not for everyone. And if someone asked me today if they should get into it, I'd probably tell them no. If I'm honest, it's like,
What would you do differently if you started all over today? What would you do differently?
I think about it all the time. I mean, it's such a wildly different situation because I have experience, right? And so I would probably lean so much heavier on the coaching and consulting side, but my team is just so good at the implementation side of it. They're just so good at the technical side, and we just are constantly having to rescue accounts from stuff that I don't know what I would do different. I think that a lot of the stuff we talked about, it's the expectation setting, it's the statement of work, the agreements. It's I would push a little harder, in certain discovery calls or sales calls or whatever. Um, and then we're just always trying to improve. We're always trying to improve in the way that we talk about this stuff because it is so technical. And anyone that tells you it's simple is trying to sell you something. So it's
Do you
us
find that
just trying to make sure that we're educating. So,
what are you finding are you finding any objections with business owners implementing AI, or just unsure about it? Or sometimes in my community, I hear back and forth. Some people just absolutely love it. Some people just absolutely hate it. Some people, it's like this moral thing for them. They feel
yeah,
like it's taking everybody's jobs. What are you hearing in your space about AI and how
yeah.
things are
I
changing?
so I spoke at a large chamber of commerce last fall, I think it was, and then I had an AI seminar at Oregon Business Conference, and I've got another one coming up in March, I think. And the statement that people seem to really resonate with is when I say that I think that AI is meant to supplement the human experience, not replace it. And I had one room actually start clapping. And I was like, hold on, I just started the present. Like, why are we clapping? And it was something about that phrase that everyone was like, thank you. That's what I've been trying to get at. I think people, like, let's just be real, it's really cool. Like, AI is amazing what it's able to do. And so there is definitely a moral dilemma people are dealing with, is like, am I cheating? Should I be using it? Or this guilt of like, I feel like I'm falling behind every single day when I see some of the stuff that two of you post. I'm like, I didn't know AI could do that. Like, there's just so many cool things with it, but that seems to be just the message that's connecting with people, is they're like, yeah, I want it to supplement I want it to make my life easier or more efficient, or, you know, I want to communicate better. How do I do that? And so it seems to be that there's like three groups of people. It's like those who like don't even know where to get started, those who are kind of dabbling, and then those that are just like all in. It's like there's so few kind of spaces in between there.
Mhm.
And the seminar I just gave at Oregon Business Conference was really well received because I put to language some things that people had figured out just by trial and error. And they were like, oh my gosh, that was so helpful to get that process in mind, or get that, that prompt strategy to work for me. And then I showed them all the cool stuff of, like, the crazy stuff you can do. But no, business owners are scared of it, and they should be. I think that there's so much liability that people are not talking about, of where information is being sourced from, and the fact you don't have sources. And so, we rely really heavily on certain programs when we do have to require a source. Like Pressmaster is a great example of one that it will not quote data without giving a source. It just won't do it. And so I think there's a lot of liability for content creators, for authors, that their stuff is going to end up being kind of fed into the machine, and they're not going to be credited for it. And I do not have an answer on what the future of that looks like at all. But, for business owners, for their own staff, they don't know if their staff is using AI or not, and whether that's going to create an unrealistic expectation. It's messy. I don't know. And
It
we use it
is.
every day.
What would you
All
say?
my
So
staff.
What would you say to a person who wants to write a book? They have an idea for a book, whether it's about themselves or it's fictional or whatever, and
Yeah, call me.
what they're gonna do is go to AI and they're gonna flesh out the idea. They're gonna be talking to
Yeah.
ChatGPT or whatever. But in that moment when they're like flushing out this idea for a book with AI, what should that person do? Should they just stop using AI altogether and then call you,
No, not at
or
all.
get pen
Not
and
at all.
paper? What would you suggest that they do at that point?
Yeah, this is an interesting question because I think AI as a thought partner is one of its strongest tools. And having it be critical of your thought process, I think, is even better because there's no emotion behind it, like if it's with one of your family members or friends or colleagues or whatever. So we will guide authors through using it to help just simplify frameworks and outlines and things like that. But we do ask the authors like, hey, go sit down. Well, that's not even true. We don't tell them to sit down and write it. I found when I did my book, I dictated a couple chapters and I thought that the voicing sounded more like me. And I have an English degree, so it was like very important to me that I write the book. But for a lot of our authors, we had one in particular that just could not get traction. And so their author success manager got on a call with them and interviewed them. And they took that interview, the transcript, and kind of stripped it down to a little bit more of like a readable thing, and then said, all right, this is your starting point right from here. And so we're using some of those tools that are really helpful. Allie Bloyd just signed a publishing contract with us, and she's doing a series of
Good.
books. Yeah,
Good
I'm
for
so
them.
excited for her.
Yeah, I know. I've heard about her book,
It's
but
going
I
to be
didn't
a
know it was with you.
very, yeah, it's going to be a very, very different book than I think people expect from her. But she is just a habitual writer. She has been writing forever. And this
Mhm.
book is going to be very, very raw and very telling and a little bit more of a memoir than you would expect from her. And the motive for it even is, I think, is just beautiful and who she wants to help with it. Right. So you get someone like Allie, who, again, pretty well known in our circle, right? Incredible
Mhm.
marketer, who has been writing, proficiently for years versus someone that comes in and is like, I don't even read that much, but I got a lot to say. How do I get it on paper? That's where, working with a team is invaluable because it's not about what you're going to write as much as about which book are you going to write first, because I think every human has like 2 to 3 books inside of them, and it's really a question of which book are you going to write first. And then it's the classic marketing question of like, who's my target audience, who is this going to go towards. And so we've done one fiction novel for an author that had some traction regionally in their space. Very difficult space, very, very difficult space, very oversaturated. And so you have to approach that a little bit differently. But, if you're interested in writing a book, getting on a call and really dialoguing that with us is the first step. And, we'll just be honest with you, if we think it's going to work or not. Some people, I think, are like, I got a story to tell. Everyone wants to hear it. And I'm like, probably not. Like, is as funny as it sounds, like no one's really that special. And no one's really interested in your memoir unless you're famous. It has to be something that they're going to gain value from and they're going to benefit from, or they're not going to read it. It's people are innately selfish, and that's okay. We just have to be able to know how to do that, and make their life be better and improved by the stuff that you provide for them.
That's good advice.
Mhm.
Well, thank you so much, Jake Zufelt, for joining us today. And if you guys are interested in contacting him, I'm going to put his links in the description of today's video. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you in the
Thanks
next
so much.
episode. Bye.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you both.
If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode and join the Leverage and Lead private community for live coaching 4 days a week at leverageandlead.com. We'll see you inside.